Oh, guys, good morning. Good morning. Tomato sauce in here. Today, I am coming at you live with a leveling tier list for Classic Era in Classic WoW. So, guys, if you're anything like me, you've decided to give the Classic Era servers a chance, and they're pretty sick. I'll be honest with you, the community's absolutely slapping right now. You wouldn't think so on Sharded Realms based on like what you see in retail, but the classic community is still like, I don't know, just extremely vocal, extremely tight knit, and best of all, it's very, very busy right now, right? So it's actually in a really cool place. You would think like these Nax Forever servers wouldn't have, Molten Core and BWL raids, but they've got all that. People are actually joining battlegrounds and PvPing. Overall, it's a totally good time. The only problem is anybody like me thought they were never coming back to classic servers, didn't give Blizzard their $10. So if you decide to come back now, you got to re-level, which is totally cool because I think that's the best part of classic era, right? And classic WoW in general is the journey, the leveling experience, right? It's a good time. I'm back on my mage, uh, and it's fun, right? So what I wanted to do is give you guys a little leveling tier list, right? Going from 1 to 60. What are the best classes to do that? Um, and what are the best ones to level first if you are going to decide to level multiple classes, right? So let's bang it out. Let's rank these classic WoW classes from a pure 1 to 60 leveling experience. And we will start out with Druid. And Druid, I would move right into the A tier. Now, here's what I will say about Druid. Levels 1 to 10 are very difficult, right? You're basically just a caster Druid, but 1 to 10 is kind of easy anyway. Your level 10 quest to get bear form is a little bit difficult. Uh, However, once you get that, it's smooth sailing up to level 20 when you get cat form. And boys, at level 20 on a Druid, it just kind of starts taking off, right? Cat form is absolutely awesome. You can stealth just like a rogue can eventually, and you do a lot of damage. You have self healing. You have a ton of utility. If you enjoy open world PvP, Druid is also one of the most fun classes. I wouldn't say it's S tier, but 1 to 60 leveling journey, Druid is a really good time. Where Druid falls off is at 60. If you want to raid, you have to go farm those manual crowd pummelers because people will freak out if you don't min max on your feral druid. Otherwise, you're pretty much a resto druid because Boomkin not in the best spot in classic. But from 1 to 60, it's A tier all day. Next, Hunter. And as everybody knows, or maybe you don't know, and you're just trying to like research some classic era right now, Hunter is an S tier leveling specialization. The first 10 levels without a pet are pretty miserable. Um, I'll be honest there. But as soon as you get your pet, it's a whole new game, right? By level 10, you get your quest. You got to go tame 3 pets. Then you get your permanent pet. And you are just, slingshotting to 60 on a hunter. Your pet is tanking the damage. It's probably the single best questing class in the game. Overall, it's just an extremely good time. It's more of a solo class, right? You're not going to get invited to a ton of dungeons on a hunter because they just don't lend themselves very well to dungeon content. They're more of a single target focused class. But having said that, they are so fast for leveling. I think right now, even the speed runs, right, for like, classic WoW leveling speed runs are being done on a hunter. Um, Next, we have Mage, and Mage is another S tier class, but for extremely different reasons. Although it does very well solo, like solo questing, where it really excels is in AoE pulls. Now, what's interesting about a mage in classic WoW is mana is a very finite resource. So what I mean by that is you will run out of mana and you will be drinking a lot. So your goal as a mage is generally to get the most bang for your buck out of your mana bar, right? Killing one mob sometimes might take you just as much mana as pulling a pack of 10 mobs and killing them all at once. In comes, mage AoE farming. If you've ever really wanted to learn how to do that, Google my boy Joker D. Check him out on YouTube Guy's the best mage AoE farmer of all time. But yeah, mage, super S tier. I love leveling mage from one in Classic WoW because not only can you go and solo AoE farm and have a good time doing that, but you also plug in so well into dungeon groups. So if there's any loot you want to get on the way up, like I just got my hypnotic blade last night, mage is the ultimate dungeon specialization in Classic WoW, right? So between dungeon groups and AoE farming, you're in an awesome spot on a mage. And you can just solo grind mobs and quest if you wanted to in a PvP spec, because I've taken that approach as well. That was how I played my mage on my first classic playthrough. Um, when classic first came out in 2019. So yeah, you can play mage in any way. It's a great time. It's also one of the best mining specializations if you like to fight on mining nodes. Rogue is probably number one. But I mean, I was fighting, beating druids, every warrior, anybody that was mining back in 2019. If you bought an arcane crystal between 2019 and 2020 on the Herod server, you bought it from me. All right. Good times on a mage in Classic WoW. Next, Paladin, I got to drop it in D tier. This is one of the most boring specializations in the game. I guess you could heal dungeon groups on the way up. But the first 40 levels, if you're like trying to go out there and quest, mega, 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 mega boring. You are an auto attack bot. You better put Netflix or a more interactive game up on your other monitor because you are, killing one mob at a time, questing uh, with auto attacks. I think Judgment. Yeah, it's pretty much a miserable experience. You're just hoping your seals go off, and yeah, not for the faint of heart, Paladin. That is this game on hard mode. Absolutely. Um, Priest, I would say, is about B tier. It's slow, but you are immortal, right? So it's not the most fun class in the world. You are wanding mobs all the way up the chain, um, but you are immortal also, right? So it's a pretty good time if you play Discipline. Now, Shadow is a lot of fun once you hit 40 and you become this open world god. um, but yeah, on the way up to 40, you're probably playing Wand Discipline. Um, and it's a good time. Shadow is also very mana intensive. So you're drinking a lot, but you're also drinking a lot on Mage. But you don't really have the same AoE capabilities a Mage has. If you're playing Shadow. So I think it's middle of the pack. Becomes very good at end game. That Priest fits into a lot of different roles. Um, Rogue, I would say, is A tier. Honestly, it's not quite an S tier specialization. It's very fast to level. I've leveled a Rogue from 1 to 60 multiple times now. Um, I have a lot of fun on this specialization. Combat leveling is a blast, but I'd even make an argument for subtlety leveling and just being this open world mining PvP annoyance, right? It's not going to be the fastest trip from 1 to 60, but for pure journey and pure fun, it's pretty damn fun. Now, if you do go combat, you can pull multiple mobs every 2 minutes when your blade flurry's up, and that just adds to you, crushing through mobs. But I call the rogue the lawnmower of WoW, right? Hunter's the true lawnmower, where you can just mow mob to mob to mob to mob. But Rogue is up there because you can open every mob with a stun and just, crack. So I've had a lot of fun leveling Rogue in Classic WoW. And although it takes a little longer, I think it lends itself very well to the leveling process. Shaman, again, I would say is B tier. It's another one of those specs where the first 40 levels don't feel that great to me. Um, Although they're also kind of interesting. I don't like the totem quests. It's super shaman flavored. You really have to like shaman to play it in classic WoW. It's a good time. Enhanced shaman PvP at endgame is a ton of fun. Even enhanced shaman PvP, at 40 plus is a lot of fun. Um, you do counter a lot of classes out there. Ellie Shaman with the spell batching was a blast. Um, but I would say it's a middle of the road specialization. It's a good time. Um, it's pretty fun. Now, Warlock, come in and you're a full A tier, right? Warlock is A tier all day for the leveling process. I wouldn't quite say it's S tier. It's not on the level of an AoE farming mage or a leveling hunter. Um, but you're up there. You're definitely the kings of the A tier. If I had an A plus here, it would be Warlock. Um, you have the Voidwalker pet that you get at level 10, and that really starts opening up the level experience for you because that Voidwalker is going to act like a hunter pet that will be tanking mobs for you, and you will just be dotting and smashing your way all the way through. I do recommend Affliction leveling up. That's the way I've always leveled my warlocks, and I have a blast doing it, and it feels really, really good. Um, even tank on a like tank dungeons on a warlock, so you can actually run like warlock, three mage, priest groups. That's how we used to level up in on Herod and on Horde, and that was really, really good. It was just a fun way to level your warlock tanks with Eye of Kilrog. The priest power word shields the eye. The eye rounds up mobs, and your mages and warlock just AoE everything down. It's actually a beautiful like symphony of destruction. I would say Warlock is A to A plus tier for the 1 to 60 leveling experience. Obviously, they fall off a little bit in raids, but you need them for banishes. A couple Warlocks are always going to be needed in raid in classic era. Now, if you decide to just PvP, Warlock become like the tank class of PvP. So good. Um, yeah, it's a lot of fun in classic era. I think it's actually the best 1v1 class in the game. Well, so get a lot of mileage out of your warlock if you decide to level it up in classic era. And finally, warrior. Oh, man, warrior. I will go C tier on warrior. I won't go full D tier. It's the hardest spec to level in the game by far, but you get into your 30s and 40s, right? Uh, and you end up getting a Ravager, right, out of Scarlet Monastery. What you can then do is become one of the best dungeon specializations in the game. Now, what you can also do, especially on Horde with warriors, you can run four warrior, right? Four arms warrior, Ravager, Resto Shaman, dropping Wind Fury Totem, dungeon cleave groups that just murder dungeons. I mean, the Warlock Triple Mage Priest dungeon group is a good time, but I've been in a four warrior Ravager, Resto Shaman Wind Fury group as well, and they absolutely slap. We just melt dungeons. There's very little downtime. Everybody's a tank. You don't have to worry about threat, and you're just cleaving the world down. It's a good time. Yeah. That's the way I believe the tier list shakes out. The unfortunate part about Warrior is if you do decide to go open world and you don't have your Resto Shaman buddy dropping Wind Fury Totem and healing you glued to your hip, um, Warrior feels pretty bad in Classic, up until you get like your world buffs and you go into raids. But like open world, I think it does not feel very good. And in PvP, playing Warrior solo is actually one of the most frustrating experiences in the game. You're heavily, heavily, heavily reliant on engineering, probably the most reliant on engineering class in the entire game, as well as consumables if you really want to get gross. I think free action potions. Probably should have never been brought into the game, but they had to bring them into the game because of how immobile warriors are without support. So, yeah, warriors in a weird spot in classic. It gets a lot better in TBC, as we know. Um, it's not as world buff reliant in TBC. We come out with the kebab in TBC, and then Wrath of the Lich King. We know the state it's in now, where Protection Warrior is absolutely slapping, and we're waiting for Fury to catch up on ICC. But this video is not about that. It's a classic era tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope this helps you pick a class for classic era. And remember, come on down to the Whitemane server. Even though all the shards are sharded right now, Whitemane is the most poppin' PvP server on the classic era server clusters. On down, have fun, have a great day, have a great week, have a great month, and have a great year, guys. Tomato sauce and out. Classic era is absolutely. Take it easy, guys.